Writing a thesis can often feel difficult and confusing, especially for students who are unsure about research writing style, structure, and academic expectations. This course is designed to make the entire process simple, clear, and practical. By explaining every concept in an easy-to-understand way without unnecessary complexity, unlike many traditional approaches that focus only on theory, this course follows a step-by-step and highly practical method, helping learners understand not just what to do, but how to do it with real examples. It focuses on clarity, logical flow, correct academic wording, and proper referencing, which are often the most challenging parts for students. By following this course, learners will be able to confidently develop their research topic, write each section of the thesis properly, and avoid common mistakes, such as poor structure, weak arguments, and inconsistent referencing. As a result, students will find it much easier to complete their thesis with a professional standard, using the detailed guidance and skills gained throughout this course. Before writing a thesis, the most important thing is to be completely clear about what you want to study. For example, instead of choosing a broad topic like social media, you should narrow it down to something specific, such as the effect of Instagram marketing on university students' buying behavior. This clarity helps you stay focused and prevents confusion later. Once your topic is clear, you need to write one strong research question. A weak question would be, how does marketing work? While a strong one would be, how does influencer marketing on Instagram affect purchase decisions of young adults in Mexico? A focused question guides your entire study. You also need to understand why your research matters. Ask yourself, who will benefit from this study? For example, your research may help companies improve their marketing strategies or help academics understand consumer behavior better. When you know the value of your research, your writing becomes more meaningful. At the same time, your objectives, methods, and results must match each other. If your objective is to measure impact, then your method should allow measurement, such as surveys or experiments. If these parts do not match, your thesis will feel weak and confusing. A thesis follows a clear structure. You begin with an introduction where you explain the topic, problem, and purpose. Then comes the literature review, where you discuss what other researchers have already done. After that, the methodology explains how you conducted your study. Then you present your results, followed by a discussion where you explain what those results mean. Finally, you end with a conclusion. Following this structure is very important because it keeps your work organized and easy to understand. While writing, you must maintain a logical flow. Your ideas should connect smoothly, not jump randomly. For example, if you are discussing customer satisfaction, do not suddenly switch to advertising without explanation. Each paragraph should focus on one main idea only. For instance, one paragraph can explain factors affecting customer satisfaction, and another can explain measurement of satisfaction. At the start of each paragraph, clearly state your main point, and then support it with evidence such as data or citations. Using simple linking words like however, therefore, in addition, and in contrast helps guide the reader. These words show relationships between ideas. Your writing style should be formal and academic. Avoid casual expressions like a lot of people think, and instead write many studies suggest. Also avoid personal opinions like I think or I believe. Instead, base your statements on evidence. Keep your sentences clear and not too long. Long and complicated sentences make it hard to understand your message. At the same time, do not try to sound overly complex just to appear intelligent. Good academic writing is simple and clear, not confusing. You can use technical terms related to your field, but only when necessary. For example, in marketing, you may use terms like consumer behavior or brand equity, but you should explain them the first time you use them so the reader understands. There are also common research phrases that you should learn and use. For example, you can write, "This study aims to examine." The results show that, or the findings suggest. These phrases make your writing sound academic and professional. Avoid vague words like things, very, or huge. Instead of saying a very big impact, you can say a significant impact. Also, use careful words like may, might, or suggests instead of making strong claims. For example, instead of saying, "This method proves," say, "This method suggests." In your literature review, do not just describe what each author said. You need to compare and analyze their work. For example, you can write that one study found a positive effect, while another found no effect. and then explain why they are different. You should also identify what is missing in past research, which is called the research gap. For example, many studies may focus on developed countries, but very few may focus on Mexico. This gap justifies your study. In the methodology section, you must clearly explain how you collected your data. For example, you may say that you conducted a survey of 200 university students using a questionnaire. You also need to justify your choices. Explain why you chose a survey instead of interviews, or why you selected a particular sample. This shows that your decisions are logical. Your study should be designed in a way that another researcher can repeat it and get similar results. This is called replicability and is very important in research. When presenting results, keep them clear and objective. For example, you can say 70% of respondents preferred online shopping. Do not include your opinions in this section. Save interpretation for the discussion section. In the discussion, you explain what your results mean. You should also link your results back to your research question and literature. For example, if your question was about influencer marketing, your discussion should clearly explain how your findings answer that question and how they compare with earlier studies. This connection is very important because it shows that your research is meaningful. One of the most critical parts of thesis writing is referencing. You must choose one referencing style, such as APA, and use it consistently from beginning to end. For example, in APA style, you cite sources in the text like this, Smith 2020. At the end of your thesis, you provide full details of the source in the reference list. You must learn the basic rules of your chosen style, including how to write author names, years, titles, and journal names. Every reference should follow the same format, including punctuation, italics, and order of information. For example, if you write one reference with the year after the author, all references must follow the same pattern. You should not mix different styles. Do not use APA in one place and Harvard or MLA in another. This creates confusion and reduces the quality of your work. You must also ensure that every in-text citation has a matching reference in the reference list, and every reference listed must be cited in the text. Missing or extra references show carelessness. Tools like Zotero or Mendeley can help you manage references and reduce errors, but you still need to check everything carefully. Before submitting your thesis, always double-check your references to ensure they are correct and consistent. Citing sources properly is essential to avoid plagiarism. Plagiarism means using someone else's work without giving credit. For example, copying a paragraph from an article without citation is plagiarism. Even if you change the words slightly, you still need to cite the source. Always give credit to the original author. It is also important to understand that your first draft will not be perfect. This is normal. Writing a good thesis requires editing and rewriting. You may need to revise your work several times to improve clarity and quality. Reading good journal articles can help you learn how academic writing is done. Pay attention to how authors structure their arguments and use language. Finally, consistency and discipline are key. Writing a thesis is a long process, so you should write regularly instead of delaying work. Even small daily progress can lead to a strong final thesis. By following all these points carefully, you can produce a clear, professional, and high-quality thesis.